I wanted to do a quick reading about Chris Watts's and Shanann's house to see what's going on there. I know a new family's moved in there, and I think that's wonderful. But I just kind of want to just see things here. I'm just kind of curious. And in my last reading, there was some hints towards some different stuff. So here. All right. House. Okay. Well, it doesn't look... Well, let's see here. Changes things a little. The snake above the moon. Means nightmares. Let's see here. Okay. All right, so there is, okay, so initially, because we all know, I don't have to explain, you know, Chris Watts and Shanann's house and what happened there. If you're here, you know already. So I just, I do want to address something now. When that horrible morning happened, or, you know, that horrible event that had happened there at that house. So there definitely was some time spent there. Not for, it was for a little while. Shanann brought her babies there. They had to regain their equilibrium, and it's like, what happened? And, you know, what happened? You know, I just hear her saying, you know, why is this happening? Because it was obviously completely unexpected of her, but they're not there anymore. They've moved on. So that's good news. But I also want to bring forth, you know, it's really interesting because, so, you know, there was some darker magic that was created there, and I mentioned it in my other video, in the Chris Watts prison video, that NK, now this is a card reading. I have to preface this with, for entertainment purposes only. You know, if this doesn't resonate with you, then just move on. So NK was someone that did delve into some of the dark arts. She was a dabbler. Now, I mentioned Aleister Crowley in my last video, and I this is definitely something that she was into. And you know, look up Aleister Crowley. He was a guy that was into actually sex magic, as well as necromancy, which is spirit work. Him, and he had a friend that lived an ocean apart, and they would create, Aleister Crowley would create an entity that would send messages to his friend across the pond. And and this is just, this was it was dark magic. She was, like I said, a dabbler of that. What she did was she had created this thing inside of that house. And when she did that, she didn't do it properly. Like I said before in my last video, she had created it without an expiration date. So when you create something like this, what you're doing is, and it essentially is giving birth to something to perform a task, but you also have to give it an expiration date. And she didn't do that. But this thing is created for Chris, to give him, it's like the gumption. It was something that was to help facilitate, like the how do I say this? It was something that would help facilitate it, but give him the courage to do it and to almost virtually take over in case he wasn't going to go through with it. But he was all for this. I'm not telling you that he wasn't, liable for any of that stuff. He was. He left himself open to that. He agreed to doing it. So when she created that in that house. And so there's a little bit of a, because it was birthed there is an attachment there as well as an attachment on Chris. But it spends most of its time with Chris. Now it will visit the family once in a while. And it does just kind of loves to create havoc and mayhem. And it messes with their electronics. In fact, I feel like there's most likely have been some issues with their electronics since they've moved in there. And it's from this thing. It's mostly there to be attached to Chris. But because that event happened there at the house, and because it was created there at the house, there will always be an attachment there until either Chris is unalived, or there's got to be a medium that goes into that house to get rid of that vortex there, the opening. It's the creation point of that entity. But they are not its target. It's Chris. So it just likes to go back once in a while and perform little scaredy things, scare them once in a while to gain some energy, and then it goes back to, they're not the target, but it's probably not the healthiest place for them either, for the family to be there. But what helps that thing stay away is laughter and happiness and the love that they have in that house. So like I said, it doesn't go there very often. But when it does, their electronics go a little wonky. They've had it looked at and checked, and nobody can find anything wrong with it. But there is a couple of things I would like to mention. And like I said before, especially in the beginning when this event happened at the house, that thing's attachment was pretty strong still in that house. And it was there when the police dogs were doing its search And that's, do you guys remember when the dog went into the closet and they heard that creepy giggle? That wasn't one of the kids. That wasn't one of the kids. That was that thing. That was that thing. And it was mimicking NK. So another thing I'd like to mention is that occasionally, currently Shanann is and her girls, her girls are, in essence, their souls are growing up. They're going through the growing process. I call it like the collective hive of consciousness. And it's a healing thing for them and for Shanann. But occasionally, she'll take them back to the house just to kind of show them, and just to kind of, it was a happy, before that happened, it was a super happy place for them. And it was a connection for them when they were all alive. And they like to revisit that once in a while. And she said there was a couple of things. There was some repainting done. And Shanann said it looks awesome. Now, I'm not talking about the outside of the house. She always hated the color of the outside of the house. But that was what she allowed Chris to choose. And she stuck with her decision to allow him to choose that color. And he picked the ugliest color to the outside of that house anybody could ever pick. But there was some inside painting done. And do you guys remember that purple ceiling? That beautiful purple ceiling that's, I don't know if it was like a part of the dining room, or was it? It was that, you guys know what I'm talking about. Well, the new owners had repainted that, and it's beautiful too. And she's like, looks great, guys. And also, she's so happy that someone took over the house that is filling it with laughter to combat the stuff that happened inside that house, because she loved that house. Shanann loved that house. And this is healthy for the house, for this family to be in there. And so the more laughter and happy times that house has, the less that thing will come back and visit. Now, when there's arguments in the house, all married couples have arguments and whatnot, but that's when it like rears its ugly head and goes, aha, there's an argument. And this thing likes to gain energy from angry feelings, dissent, and but for the most part, this house is that family is so determined to create a happy place for their family, and Shanann is all for it. She's like, this is wonderful, and I'm so happy that someone is loving the house as much as I loved the house. But they do come back once in a while and revisit that house. And Shanann's girls, they really especially love going and visiting the children when they come and they do their little visits. It makes them happy. So it's kind of funny too, because when they do visit, I kind of wonder if the new owner makes the connection, but it's like their phone battery goes down very quickly. I mean, like I said, it's not often that they come and visit, but it's once in a while they come and visit the house, and it's like visiting, old memories and healing from that, and which is always a good thing. And it also helps keep that thing at bay. So that's a great thing. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. about the thing that's attached to Chris. I'm trying to think. It hasn't come to visit in a long time. So that's good. And if everybody can just kind of give that family loving thoughts and pink healing energy and loving energy and just visualize that pink, loving healing light to just go through that house. It'll make it less and less easier for that thing to come back. So, just if everybody could, think that way, it'll help them a lot. So anyway, all right. Well, this was interesting. Trying to see if there's anything else that I can tell you. Nope, it looks, it seems to me, see this lady that's living in that house now, she's very intuitive. And in all actuality, it's like she wakes up and she's like, it's like she even includes Shanann in with her daily activities. It's very heartwarming how she like includes her in with her daily stuff. It's like, okay, Shanann, I'm gonna do this today. I'm gonna clean today or whatever. And she hears that. Shanann will hear that. Although I gotta tell you, Shanann has been spending a lot of time with her family and her brother and her mother and the girls too. And doing their own healing. So they're doing great. They're doing great, which I'm so happy for that. And they don't think about him, CW, at all. So that's good to know too. They'll give him a second thought. All right, everybody, I will see you at the next reading. Thanks for watching.